Love Sunday. I am Tarnisha Sass, your host of Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am your certified vision coach who comes every single Sunday so we can talk about all the ways in which we can better our best. And this new year, y'all, is first of all, I just want to say that I am coming. I am not home right now, and I apologize for my voice in advance. But this new year is here, and while the world feels like it's moving forward because we're in 2025, maybe some people are kind of in this space of pain and loss, and I just wanted to come talk today because grief doesn't care about calendars. It doesn't care that it's the first. It doesn't care that it's the beginning of a new year. It's heavy, and it can make you feel like this year is already like over. It's like, you hear that thing of like, man, when you start 2020, start a new year like this, right? And like this meaning in some sort of grief or pain. um, but I really want you to know that it doesn't have to define your year. And in this video, I'm going to kind of show you, and we're going to talk about how to honor your grief, and transform it into strength, and carry the memory of your loved one in a way that inspires you to move forward, because grief doesn't have to hold you back. It can really fuel your growth. First of all, grief is overwhelming. It's not just sadness, it's exhaustion. You can hear my voice. It's anger, it's confusion, and sometimes even a little bit of guilt. And so, if you're entering this new year with a heavy heart, it can feel like everybody else is celebrating around you while you're just trying to survive, and that's okay because you're not alone in this. And so you heard me start off the video saying, "But I'm not home," and excuse my voice. It's because I'm walking through my own grief right now. I'm in North Carolina because my cousin suddenly passed away. Her name is Tiana Scott Day. She was my twin, meaning that we had a lot of the same mannerisms and thought processes, and from the way that we raise our children, and then even me being in her home recently, just from the way her home is, and the weight of the loss feels really heavy. Um, and when the world is talking about fresh starts and resolutions and goals, here I am, literally before the new year, rushing to North Carolina to plan a funeral. But if one thing grief has taught me, because this is not my first time experiencing such a heavy loss, you guys, if you've been around for a while, you've heard me talk about burying two sons, and my aunt, who was like a sister to me, it's taught me that it doesn't mean the end. It can also mean the beginning of a deeper connection with yourself, your loved ones, and even the legacy of the person that you lost. I've talked about this recently, where a lot of the way that I am today and the person that I show up as today is as a result of losing my son. It really changed the way I looked at the world. It changed the way I viewed parenting. It changed the way I viewed myself. It helped push me out of so many, I would say, like ways of being, because I had a way of being, particularly military ways of being. It kind of pushed me somewhat out of that. I'm not saying all of it's gone, but it changed the way I looked at life. It was one of the reasons why, and I talked about this becoming a speaker and an author. It was because I wanted their legacy to move forward. So the first step to transforming grief is to allow yourself to feel it. So many of us try to push it down or pretend we're okay, but grief doesn't disappear. As a matter of fact, it waits. It waits to those most vulnerable moments where you think like, oh, everything is good, and it just pops up on you. And the reason being is because it deserves to be acknowledged. It's an emotion and a feeling, and the reason why most of us, you know operate in the way we do, always constantly in survival mode, is because we don't allow ourselves just a moment just to feel how we're feeling. There are 7 stages of grief. You can look that up, but allow yourself to grieve, through and feel whatever it is that you're feeling. And a way to do that also, and to honor yourself and to honor the person, is just set aside time each week, or each day, or even in the week, to reflect on your feelings. Journal, light a candle, say a prayer, or just sit in stillness. Sometimes I understand that stillness, that quiet, can bring about so many things in your mind, and we can't keep running from it. But if it doesn't feel safe, I want to give a disclaimer that if it doesn't feel safe to be that way, make sure you contact a therapist, and set that a grief appointment, because grief therapy saved my life. Grief therapy is real and it works. But you have to, because you have to give grief. I want you to hear this. You have to give grief a safe space, so it doesn't consume you. And it will consume you if you decide to run from it, if you decide to just get busy and do everything for everybody, but don't take care of you. There's also grief groups. They have support groups, right? Speaking your pain out loud can take some of the heaviness off, not just your heart, but your shoulders, because a lot of us carry so much tension in our shoulders and our lower back and in our knees. And it's because we're carrying things that we should be releasing, but instead of releasing, we're carrying it. And so, um, a therapist actually told me this, and I'm going to share it with you. Grief is love that hasn't found a home yet. Grief is love that hasn't found a home yet. So when you honor it, you're honoring the connection you had with that person. You can't heal what you don't allow yourself to feel. And I get it. The pain of feeling it. I remember the pain of losing my son. The first one, he was born early, and being in the hospital and at the end of the corridor, and they bring me my baby who's no longer living, but I'm hearing all the other babies cry. And so I know what that feels like, just to feel like, man, and I'm in this room, and they try to put me at the end of the hall, and it's extremely quiet, but I hear everything. I remember, going through labor, being in and out, right? So I understand that stillness can bring about thoughts. And so you can do again is journal, but if it doesn't feel safe for you, I want to stop right here and just say, please reach out to a therapist, and don't think about money. A lot of therapists now have sliding scales. Some do pro bono work. There's so much out here for you. Just don't be afraid to get on Google and find it. And sometimes I know grief can also make you feel powerless. But one of the most healing things you can do is channel that energy into positive, intentional action. It doesn't have to be big things. So what I mean by that is, you can plant a tree in their honor. You can volunteer for a cause that you care about or that they care about. You can write the person a letter, because a lot of times we feel like we don't have closure. You can write a letter. I know for me, that's how I became an author. I wrote a lot of things about me in the book, but it also was a way for me to put my son, in a book. That was my project, right? Turning grief into something tangible can give it purpose. So ask yourself, what can you do this year that honors the lessons, the values, and the dreams of the person that you lost? Let their memory inspire you into action. I think that's one of the best things you can do. When I lost my aunt, who was like a sister to me, she actually came to me in a dream. And I just remember, after everything was said and done, what she was saying is, don't drop the ball. And I made that promise to not drop the ball. And that's how I'm here with you, because I won't drop the ball in the legacy of my family. I knew exactly what Gina meant in that dream. And so grief can either paralyze you or it can propel you. The choice isn't easy, but every small step forward, it can be a victory. And I've just decided. I mean, because it really is a decision that I was not going to allow it to paralyze me. None of the grief, and we've had a lot of grief. It's particularly on my mom's side of the family. So this is the first time it has affected our father's side. And so when you turn your pain into purpose, you can create a legacy that outlives the loss. And I know that's not easy. So I know my words, because you hear me speaking, it sounds smooth and it sounds easy. I know that it's not. It is just a way to start to think about this from a different perspective, because it's perspective, because the coulda, woulda, shoulda, the guilt, right? So I had lots of guilt for many years. And to me, this is me. I believe that's the biggest trick of the enemy. And I'm gonna give my other disclaimer. I'm not here to tell you who to believe in, but I believe in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You don't have to. And whoever ever do believe that there should be a God in your life, right? And so when I talk about the enemy, the negative forces, the biggest trick is to keep you in the coulda, woulda, shoulda, keep you in the guilt, keep you into the survival mode, keep you into busy, 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 push, 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 push. And I believe that's the trick, because then you don't. If you don't ever feel, you don't ever heal. If you don't ever sit still, you don't get clarity. You don't get clear. You can't hear what God is speaking to you. So that's why I'm saying I understand that it's not easy, but this is where you get to hold tight to whatever your faith is and get to call on your community. A lot of times people think that they have to do it alone. You don't, and you can't be afraid to open up the door to ask for the help you need, because you would be surprised. Most people would be willing to step up and help. It's just that most people don't want to feel like they're not needed and or wanted. So that's something to think about, because we often think strength means being okay all the time. But real strength is allowing yourself to be vulnerable while still choosing to move forward. In this moment, I'm going to tell you that I am beyond hurt. My cousin was only 36 years old, and she was the most beautiful young lady. And when I say that that's my twin, I always thought that she would, be writing books like me and doing coaching and all those things, because that's what I saw for her. I'm also not a pretender, because I'm not fake or phony. I won't act like we talked all the time. That wasn't it. So my guilt is that. My guilt is that I allowed myself to be so busy trying to build my career that some of my family members that may could have needed me, I wasn't there for it. And so I something that I get to work through. But in my vulnerability, I'm gonna be honest about that, because strength doesn't mean leaping mountains for me. It means taking one step at a time. It means celebrating small moments of courage. This is courage for me to speak that out loud. And some to you, courage may look like getting out of the bed. It may be making a phone call, or me smiling when it's hard. And I'm going to say this, I'm extremely proud of my aunt, who is her mom, because I'm here with her, and just to watch her small steps every single day. Um, I joke with her like, "Oh, I'm giving you a gold star for the day," but she is an amazing mom. She's an amazing woman, who I've looked up to since I was young, and to watch her navigate this grief um, is really just amazing. And I'm extremely, and I know that sounds odd to say, but I'm extremely proud of her, because I know that this is something that could knock you off your rocker and take you out, and she hasn't allowed it to do so. And I know my cousin left two little girls here, and just to watch her, be to step up for them. So it's just been one of those things. But I love that, because strength isn't doing it all alone. It's knowing when to lean into others, whether it's family, friends. And again, if you feel like you don't have that type of support, know that there's therapists out there. Know that there are grief groups out there. You can get in touch with your local Red Cross. They have a lot of great programs. Also, check out your public library. Sometimes they have like groups there as well. So just don't be afraid to look into those things. If you have a YMCA, YWCA, sometimes they have programs like that there as well. So just lean in. Your grief is part of your story, but it's not the end of it. Strength is the bridge that pain carries you from pain to healing. So don't forget that, and strength is that bridge. It's going to take you from pain to healing, but it doesn't have to be like I have to do it all alone. It's just me. No, you don't have to. And here's the thing I want you to understand. The enemy will put you in isolation and make you think that that's the way it is. But I'm here to tell you that's not true. God will send people in who will love you, care for you, and help you, even sometimes more strangers than your family. And that's okay. Just embrace them when they come and know what they're here for. Okay, and don't let pride and ego get in the way, because sometimes we can be so prideful and so egotistical, and it's no need for that, especially when you're grieving. Just let love in, because all of that is fear. The pride, the egotistical, the strength I can do alone, all of it's fear. And so just allow yourself to let a little love in. Strength isn't about being okay. It's about showing up even when it's hard, and allowing people in even when it's hard, and knowing that more people want to love you than not. And so grief is heavy, but it's also a testament to the love you share it with the person or people, right? So as you walk into 2025, carry that love with you, not as a weight, not as a burden, but a source of power. You have the strength to honor your feelings, and take action and redefine your path one step at a time. Don't try to do it all at once, just one day at a time. And just remember, what's one way you can honor your grief this year? I want to know in the comments. Share it with me. I love this. To support and encourage you, as what you write is going to support and encourage me. So I just want to know what's one way you can honor your grief this year. whether it's grief of a lost one. Some people are grieving all sorts of things, right? Grieving loss of friendships, grieving loss of businesses, loss of a job, whatever it is. I just love to hear from you. Please share in the comments. And again, just to support and encourage you as you support and encourage me. And if this video has spoke to you, please like, share, subscribe, and share with anyone that you may feel that is, or that that is going through a tough time at the beginning of this year, because it doesn't have to define your entire year. As a matter of fact, it can strengthen and redefine and change your entire year when you decide to shift your perspective. Just remember also too that the way you knew them before a loss is going to be very different after. You don't know them after a loss of a friend. You don't know them after a loss of a parent. You don't know them after a loss of a daughter. You don't know them after a loss of a mother. You have no idea, because when that day happens that they lose that person, they become something very different. So allow yourself to be open enough to get to know them in this new phase and shape of their life. I know for me, I didn't look the same. I was very hard before Sahai died, and that's my oldest son. I was very hard, and I became very soft, and I cried more afterwards, and that can kind of shock people because I was so hard. But you don't know people after grief, so allow yourself some time to get to know them, and allow yourself some time to get to know who you are in this new season. It may look very different, and that's okay. So learn to embrace and love yourself on this journey, as you learn to walk through this new path, and bring your loved one along, and love and strength, and holding them high, meaning be joyful in their memories, and do something that that they would love. Okay. And so if you're looking for deeper support as you navigate grief, please don't forget to contact your local Red Cross, your public library, your local YM or YWCA. The YWCA, they may have lots of programs out there that a lot of people just don't know about. And so I appreciate you today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and I will talk to you next week.